As a coach, I have to develop a thoughtful plan to train my athletes. The plan includes several key elements that guide the athletes from preparation to performance. So, specific warm-ups. Athletes have to warm up intentionally, prepare them for the things that we're going to be doing, and also set the tone for the workout. I also have to do specialized workouts. In track, we have many, many events. I happen to work with sprinters and hurdlers. Well, that's going to look way different than what the shot put and discus people are doing. So I have to structure that and plan that for them to be able to prepare them for the competition that they're going to be in. There's a progression throughout the season, and I have to layer things and add things. So I want you to think about this for parenting now. So I have to help them develop their skills over time so that they really shouldn't need me by the end of the season. And then competition. You know, we're given opportunities to compete in track and field, and that's when they're getting tested. Okay, just like in life. There's going to be competition out there, things that are going to come in people's lives, in their kids' lives. So here's the biblical comparison, training your family. One thing I want to mention is that really the church is the supplement to the training that hopefully you are doing in your biblical family. And we can offer things here once a week. We have stuff for the teens and the youth, but you spend the most time with them, and who's ever winning that time battle is really going to be the ones having success with their families. So if they're spending more time with you than they are their peers, and you're doing things intentionally, you're going to have great success. I've seen that played out over and over. So comparing this approach to biblical perspective on raising and training a family, the thoughtful structure and progression seen in athletic coaching can also be applied to parenting. So in Ecclesiastes 3:1, the first verse I want to highlight, it says, "There is an opportune time to do things." At various stages of your kids' lives, they're going to need certain things. So there's an opportune time to be implementing certain things that they need to help them to grow and mature in their faith. A right time for everything, every matter under the sun. So I want you just to think about that, because if you're raising your family right now, that's your in season. That's the season you should be pouring into them, okay? Because they're going to be with you for a short period of time. My kids are in their mid to late 30s now. That went really fast, and now we're in grandparenting. Whole different model. So wisdom is needed to do things, to teach things, and to train things at the right time. You need to ask God for that wisdom. You need to seek good counsel and read up on those things. Consider what season your children are in, and then tailor your guidance accordingly. A 3 to 5-year-old is way different than a 10 to 12-year-old in what their needs are. And so how can we encourage them and help them to live biblically in each phase as they're growing? So the second verse that I'm going to share is, and really it's a biblical mandate that God's hierarchy, and we're under authority. He also, for us as men, there's a greater responsibility for us for our success and failure in the home, and he holds us accountable. Just like in the Garden of Eden, when Adam and Eve sinned, he didn't go to Eve and say, "Hey, what'd you do?" Who did he show up and talk to? Adam. So Adam was the one that was held accountable. All right, 1 Timothy 3. His heart should be set on guiding his household with wisdom and dignity, bringing up his children to worship with devotion and purity. For if he is unable to properly lead his own household well, how can he properly lead God's household? And this is talking, one, about leadership within the church, but also that our family is a microcosm of bigger things that we should be able to manage well. So we lead. So the things that I wrote down here that I thought were really important says, bringing up his children to worship with devotion and purity. So specific instructions. Worship. We need to teach our children what worship is, how to worship, and that God desires us to worship him. Devotion. Foster consistent biblical teaching and help your children develop quiet times with God. We have to feed them so at some point they can self-feed and mature in their faith, and they can seek God on their own as well, as with a united body. And then purity. Guide your children to guard their eyes, understand God's expectations, and navigate challenges like social media. which is really huge today, and we see the negatives of that as well. And then my last piece, Proverbs 22:6. A lot of us have heard this verse many times. So this is a great one to meditate on. Train up your child in the way that they should go, and when they are old, they will not depart from it. Training needs to be consistent and age appropriate, continuing until you see results, application in your child's life. That's the big thing. Training takes time, and it isn't just to teach something and expect them to get it. You want to see the fruit of that, so stay at it until that's cultivated in their hearts. This process requires prayer and thoughtful planning from parents. Be attentive. I think one of the things I learn the most is when I observe, as a teacher, I observe my classroom and my students just like my own kids. When I observe them, I'll take notes and develop plans that fit their needs, because each of your kids probably are remarkably different like mine were. And one thing does not fit everybody, so varying how you do things is important. Remain flexible and willing to adjust your plan. As your children grow, their circumstances are going to change. And this isn't about perfection. You're going to make a lot of mistakes along the way. I know we did, but by God's grace, we saw the fruit of that because we consistently worked at it. Communicate the reasons behind your guidance so your children understand the why. I think that's important. When I told our kids that they were to respect authority, I told them why. You know, when you think of the commandments, honor your father and your mother that it may go well with you and you'll live a long life. There's a blessing involved in that. They need to know that there's a blessing if they do these things. And then listen to your children. Value their perspective throughout the training. In closing, Rich has kindly put together this video that I wanted him to show. So that'll be going. And then Eagle Brook, the sermon we have is called 4,000 Weeks. Embrace your limits. And I think Jason Strand is preaching today. So thank you for listening.